Namaste, everyone. I'm going to share with you a channeled message for the lunar eclipse with full moon in Sagittarius that is happening June 5th, 2020. This time that we are experiencing is emerging the third dimension, the fourth dimension, and the fifth dimension together. We are experiencing a breakthrough as the portal to the fifth dimension is opening. In the past, the Dark Age, the patriarchal paradigm that has been ongoing for thousands of years, shut down the portals to the fifth dimension, locking us into solely the third dimension. The fifth dimension carries the frequency of prosperity, lineage, and sovereignty. And as we all know, in the Dark Age, the patriarchal paradigm that has been ongoing for around 5,500 years to 12,000 years in our past, very much stripped such terms from the collective consciousness. Prosperity, lineage, and sovereignty has been stripped of us. And a lot of the scripts, the ancient scripts, the libraries that hold the frequency of such vocabulary has been burned. And we have been locked in tight into a third dimension. But what's happening is we are elevating beyond the 2-dimension, 3 dimensions that we know, and we're starting to connect with the 4th dimension. The 4th dimension is a threshold that is very much a healing portal that we go through that helps us to transmute our emotional body so that we can open up the heart, connect to the heart intelligence, and begin to download the consciousness of the 5th dimension. The consciousness of the 5th dimension is a femme consciousness. It is where femininity lies. The 5th dimension is foreign to us, to many of us, because we have been deprived of 5th dimensional frequencies. But we are linking back up to the 5th dimension. And this portal, this lunar eclipse, full moon Sagittarius, is unlocking the ancient schools of thought that has to do with prosperity, lineage, and sovereignty. The 5th dimension is held in the womb of the woman. The woman is the birthing ground for everything. Negative, positive, neutral. And when a woman is neutral, she is not only in her femininity, but she's also in her masculinity. Women very much represent the doorway to the 5th dimension. They represent the doorway to creative destiny on this planet Earth. And a lot of these new energies flooding the planet are foreign, but they're returning our mind space back to our original template. The original template that we remember as Atlantis, Lemuria, ancient Egypt. A civilization that was able to perceive and think beyond the 2, 3 dimensions that we know. And we are returning to this perspective, this perception. But it's through the unlocking of the heart intelligence. We have been very much taught the mind intelligence because the masculine age, which we have been, the masculine period of expression on this planet, has a focus on the mind and a focus on the ego. And all of this is divinely orchestrated. It's a part of human growth and development through a period of thousands and thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of years. On this planet Earth, on planet Mars and in other solar systems within other galaxies, where we also have human experience, human development, and a Sattvic record, wisdom. The high priestesses, in our current understanding, we see them as the shamans. The shamans. But during this ancient civilization, we can think of ancient Egypt pre-Pharaoh, the high priestesses, they were the teachers of the fifth dimension, the teachers of prosperity, lineage, and sovereignty. And the integrity of this planet is being restored as many people are awakening to their heart, and they're healing their emotions. They're healing generational curses, ancestral traumas. They're healing it through the frequency, the raising of the frequency. Through the raising of the frequency, the consciousness is going to become more creative. It's going to become more holistic, and it's going to become more multidimensional on this planet Earth. The third dimension is seen as the physical, the senses, sensual, sexual. It is about making things happen. It's called the manifesting realm. But the fifth dimension is where we create. So we manifest, but there is, before the manifestation, there is the creation, the creativity. That's why it is a femme consciousness. It is creativity. And this creativity in the fifth dimension is also the Sattvic record. So when we die, we cross through the fifth dimension to ascend out of this planet's grid to travel into higher dimensions, such as the seventh dimension, 12th dimension, or also to other planetary systems in other galaxies or other realms or streams of thought that we wish to participate in for further exploration and knowledge mastery. The fifth dimension is known as the royal blue energy. The royal blue, the royal blue is seen as the highest sort of frequency that we can cultivate in the physical. And the fifth dimension is still a physical, there is an embodiment. So you embody this frequency. When we get into higher dimensions, it becomes more celestial and less physical, meaning no longer terrestrial. It becomes energy without form, sort of formless energy. The fifth dimension is the creative. It's the radiance. It's the pranic wind, the pranic wind, the chi, the higher energy, the higher self-expression, articulation of the heart intelligence. It's where we uncover sacred geometry of the 5-point star, the physical body, the Da Vinci body, the Merkaba body, the auric field, the golden goose egg, the ovum, in which the seed of light is the center point of our spherical intelligence, the heart energy. And the seed of light has to do with our soul contracts, our soul agreements, our soul purpose in this life. And when we start to awaken, unlock the fifth dimension through accessing a portal on this planet or creating a portal through our own will, we're able to retrieve the soul, this soul energy. And by retrieving the soul energy, we are able to reach contentment. And contentment is the highest state of bliss on this planet, contentment. And contentment has a lot to do with the child. We talk about the Trinity. The third dimension, the fourth dimension, the fifth dimension is known as the Trinity. It's known as the Trinity. We can think of it as the masculine, we can think of it as the feminine, and the creation between the two, the dance between the two. And the child energy, the third energy, the creation energy, is held in the womb of the woman. In the womb of the woman, there is the creation energy. She holds the feminine energy, the masculine energy, and the creative energy. And that is how we are able to come into the fullness of our incarnation, and to manifest, to vibrate realities into finer realities. And this is something that is hidden in plain sight. This is something that we will not find in propaganda, in the news, in social media. This is something that is hidden in plain sight, about vibrating reality into finer reality. We say about raising the vibration is about being nourished by ancient knowledge that is originated from a place of innocence and a place of clarity and high creativity. That's where we are from. We are from a place of high creativity. And in this third dimension, locked in tight, without the vocabulary such as prosperity, lineage, and sovereignty, we can get very bound to our soul ties, to our incomplete soul missions, the echo of the trauma of the past, the echo of the sort of generational curses that we get interlocked in, and we get very, very depressed in, and even very dense in, sort of sunken in, sort of at a standstill with it, unable to move forward, unable to let go, not knowing how to let go, not knowing what it is to move on. We are moving on. Where we've been in the past when it comes to the dark age and the patriarchal paradigm, we are cutting ourselves free of that. And we are beginning to introduce these foreign ideas, these foreign concepts from the fifth dimension, these foreign constructs from the fifth dimension, and we are conceiving this fifth dimensional energy in the physical. The fifth dimension is the soul energy, which is the creative lifeline, life force. And the fourth dimension represents the portal. It represents the sacred site. As we know, there's many metallithic structures all across this planet that are space holders for the fifth dimension, where we can receive downloads upon downloads of information that will help us to fulfill the journey of contentment in this life, to receive the fullness of our potential in this life. The woman is the messenger. The woman is the guide, the teacher. The woman is the space holder. She is the one that stands at the door and opens the door. She is the key to unlocking the door. She is the timeless being, the deathless being that connects to multiple generations of past, present, and future. She carries all of that earthy and celestial understanding in her womb. The womb of woman is quite shamanistic. It's quite multidimensional. The womb is able to transport and travel through many streams of thought, able to channel energy. The womb of the woman makes her able to channel energy, higher energy, creative energy, energy that has to do with the fundamentals to creation. And on this planet Earth, we are reintroducing the virtues, the principles, and the integrity of the divine feminine, belonging to an arc of woman, a golden arc of woman that comes from the high priestesses, the African high priestesses that have been obliterated from human history and current human history, has been erased, and all sort of documentation of the much holistic understanding, holistic philosophy, and holistic guiding force has been burned and removed and buried and locked down. But the high priestesses of this fifth dimension are being resurrected as we are being guided into a new form of thought. We are being guided into a life force that is empowered. Empowerment, such words, such vocabulary, is something that for a long time has not existed, simply has been locked away. But we are transforming with this lunar eclipse. We are transforming the emotional body and starting to bring the mind into the heart intelligence out into our life, beginning to vibrate reality into finer reality, vibrating our realities clear of the numbness, the disconnection, the shame, the judgment that has had us in odds with ourselves, had us in discontent, so that we can begin to step into a greater creative expression, to be fearless, to be relentless, to be resilient, to have perseverance, and to bring what we know in the spiritual realm into the physical realm. And this is something that is ignited as a flame at the heart when we begin to heal the emotions, purge, release, let these emotions ease, give them ease, let them relax, let the rain of the emotions come out, so that we can be fertile. The emotional bankruptcy of the third dimension, the material world that we have been very locked into, and the patriarchal paradigm that's associated with the material world. In many ways, we have not been fertile within ourselves. There's been many people fertile that we look at as geniuses, or look at as brilliant, or radiant, or meditative, neutral, excellent, highly creative. We've seen these type of examples of the fifth dimensional connection, such as Nikola Tesla, Steve Jobs, who have been in a portal, who have crossed through the threshold through their own emotional healing, and have been able to download inventions, innovative and creative installations. But we are going to see many people. This is not something that's going to be withheld, or something that's going to be discriminated or segregated, or something that is going to be stolen from us. This is something that is going to happen for the human species to evolve into the next phase of human ascension, which is a part of Mother Gaia's mastery, is to see the human species ascend into higher dimensions successfully, and not just a group, not just an elite, not just a race and a particular ethnicity or particular class, because that is not sustainable. The population as it is too high in regards to having just a small amount of people who are possessing the technology for higher creativity. So as we emotionally heal, we create a portal in our aura. Our aura is definitely connected to the electromagnetic field of the heart. The electromagnetic field of the heart is the aura. It is the seed that is in the seed within the ovum, within the egg, the golden egg. And we are going to, these seeds that are coming in are seeding into the soil of the third dimension, which has to do with the life that we live, and the type of life and the type of experiences that are common, the type of existence that we associate with, and how we understand it and how we move it. The physical realm has to do with how do we move this energy through choice, decision, action. And this fifth dimension is the seed. It's where we come from. It's where we go back to. It's where we feel most sincere. It's where we feel most bold. It's where we feel life force, where we feel content within ourselves. So a lot of these new generations coming to this planet, these younger generations, the Gen Z, the Gen Y, even kids that are not even born yet, they're very much star seeds. And a lot of older generations that are considered earth angels, light workers, they are the ones facilitating the transformation through planting more seeds of the tree of life to support the tree of life. And the fire of creativity, the fire of new idea, of new thought, of new feeling, of a new Mandela frequency, a new geometric form of the mind and the heart is happening. We've been locked into this particular geometric frequency that's somewhat arrhythmic because of the shame and judgment that has us very insecure, very unstable, weak. But this new sacred geometric form is becoming more rhythmic. The tree of life, in many ways, what we experience in the heart, the burning, the deep pain, the grief, the sort of resentment, and the transmutation of it is the burning like a forest fire that burns through the disease, the dysfunction, the decay, the discord, the dissatisfaction, the discontentment, the discouragement. All of that burns through all of that so that the next generation of trees, we can say, can bear fruit or reap fruit that have a higher frequency, because there is no decay, dysfunction, discord, disease that causes the reaping to not fully come alive. And all of us, as the earth angels, the light workers, we see ourselves at the front line. We see ourselves in the fourth dimension, at the door, at the threshold, opening the door, beginning to bring in some of these fifth dimensional understandings of Atlantis, Lemuria, ancient Egypt, history that is foreign and history that we're not going to find in the particular paradigm that we are locked into. We have to explore beyond. We have to transform beyond what we are thinking, constantly thinking based off of where we've been. We're moving on from where we've been, letting go of those resentments, the rage, the ties to the people, places, and things that are associated with our past, and beginning to expand our imagination and connect with other possibilities and potentials so that we can bring them and embody them and begin to see the tree of life give a frequency, a vibration that is more sound, that is more complete and healed. And in doing so, we are giving new vocabulary, new terminology to these younger generations that are already star seeds. Star seed, birthing the stars, bringing the stars to earth, which has everything to do with seeding A star seed is seeding the stars. And the stars, we see them as the Akashic record. We see them as our integrity, why we came to Earth. The breakdown of these disconnection in this numbness, this sort of snow white slumber, waiting for who knows how many generations, in the kind of emotional lockdown, in that kind of emotional disjointed feeling, in that kind of emotional upset, that emotional pain, that emotional trigger, that emotional agitation, that constant emotional feeling of less, feeling not good, unworthy, empty. So in seeding the stars, we're bringing a new kind of life to planet Earth. And this new kind of life to planet Earth has very much to do with human beings getting to experience how multidimensional they are, the incarnations of themselves, the self-mastery of themselves, the ability to channel creation, to learn creation, to be a part of it, to know how to move the energy, to know how to vibrate reality into your intention. That's what a star seed is. You have the star, you can call it your soul star. Your soul star has soul agreement, has soul contract, has a soul purpose or a soul lesson or a soul mission or education, knowledge it wants to have in this third dimension. But there needs to be a life force that knows how to make it happen, to vibrate in the third dimension reality, and to find a reality, to take that intention and to gain we call that fourth dimensional enthusiasm, that fourth dimensional positivity, that fourth dimensional victory through one's determination and through one's integrity, to create in this third dimensional reality the portal activation. Every human being creates a portal, and the more the portal is vibrating into fine realities, the more that realities, opportunities, possibilities become finite, become structured, consolidated, available, embodied. And that's what we are to do, is to embody the conception of our creative energy, to embody the connection we have with the masculine and the feminine, and the relationship, the trinity we have with everything. And that relationship we have with everything is an awakening of how we can move the energy in different ways, how we can pay attention to the energies, how we can focus the energies, how we can sense into the energies, and how we can visualize, construct these energies and implement them through our emotional intelligence. Because that emotional intelligence is that divine timing. It is that flow of love. That flow of love that gives us the divine inspiration, the overall inspiration, the perspective we need in this life to have that discovery, that enhancement, that radiance, and that forward movement, that forward thinking that brings us into territories in this third dimensional reality that unlock the natural portals that we create in our aura. The natural portals. Every portal is something of fifth dimensional understanding or vocabulary. A portal, time space machine, sort of earth ship. And in that kind of portal is where we actually see the raising of the Kundalini, and we actually have the soulful philosophy, the philosophy directly from the place where we all originate, the fifth dimension, where we birth the generations, where the blueprints, the templates, the knowledge of all time, places on this planet, all sort of civilizations of this planet is stored, regardless of what is burned, erased, removed, blocked in the physical. That's the place where we're able to really connect with each other, with this earth, with humanity, and also where we're able to elevate beyond the third dimension that we know, and at the same time feel the immense grace and immense power, the personal power of our choice, our decisions, and our actions, moving on from where we've been, what we've done, what they've done, what everyone's done, and to start to visualize what I am to be now. Amongst all of that, what am I to be now? Making a free choice. We can call free will, but we can make an inspirational choice, a higher life force choice, a choice that carries with it the frequency of a tree of life that reaps fruit that is pure, that is not spoiled or poisonous. We think of Snow White, or we think of Eve in the story of Adam and Eve. Where the serpent is in our control, it's in our Kundalini, it's in our movement, it's in our catalyst. It's as our catalyst, it's as the challenger to our ability to go into the life, go into that serpent's eyes, and to reach that union, to reach that compassion, to reach that rhythmic balance, that rhythmic dance, that polarization, that dance that does not shake us nor break us, but it transforms us. And that is the sort of intelligence of the heart frequency, the vocabulary, the terminology, the sort of concepts, the kind of constructions, the kind of conventions that in many ways are seen solely as conventions and have no sort of embodiment, because many of these lineages have been removed, have been cut off, have been diluted with other sort of forceful marriages, or complete isolation, or sort of breakage, or attack on the family, the splitting, the separation. So we know it as a convention, this type of fifth dimensional understanding of Atlantis and Lemuria, but we don't really feel it as embodiment, actually something that has and something we can access, something we can touch, something that we can read. But all of this download upon download is coming as many, many people are writing the narrative of human history according to the fifth dimensional terminology vocabulary that has such understanding, soulful philosophy, that's able to bring the code of prosperity, bring the code of lineage, bring the code of sovereignty, to recode whatever is the kind of that has erased it, has override it. These kind of codes are going to override the codes that previously overrided the fifth dimension, as an act of closing people off, keeping people separate. Closing people off, keeping people separate. And closing people off, keeping people separate, has led to the Kundalini, the raising of the Kundalini into the pituitary gland, began to be sucked, dropped, kind of like a drain, as you, the life force began to drain. It began to shrink. It began to sort of drop it solely into the root chakra, where the root chakra has been the only thing, these lower chakras, the only thing that we've ever had contact with, the only thing that we could embody. The embodiment of the heart, the embodiment of the third eye, that was something very few people on this planet actually were doing. But what's happening is the energy, the sort of blockages we have, where all of it is just hanging, is just dropped. It's sort of all of the life force is just kind of, it's sunk. It's kind of sunk and dropped and drooped down, where a lot of us have this sort of droopy energy. And as the raising of the Kundalini comes through the life force, through the fourth dimensional, which has to do transmutation, through the transmutation of the one's creative fire that is going to challenge you, that's going to be a catalyst, that's going to exalt you, through the being exalted by life, kind of stung by life, right? That's when you really get to experience the awakening, the stirring, the sort of movement of some kind of other energy, a foreign but yet an original energy that begins to move what you think, what you feel, how you relate, how you connect, what you understand, into something that cannot be pinpoint in the generations before. You cannot be even related or even sort of associated with these previous generations. It comes directly from, especially for women who are listening to this, it comes from a fifth dimensional paradigm that we have not experienced in our past, thousands of years past. There is schools of thought, there is sort of secret groups, secret societies everywhere on this planet Earth. But the sort of global acceptance, no, it's hidden in plain sight for a reason. You have to be a part of your human incarnational victory of all victories that you have to decide for your free will. You have to embark upon. That's a part of you coming into your life force, which is courage, which is grit, which is having gut, which is taking risks, which is believing in yourself, perseverance, dedication. These type of life force is, you have to be the one to see it in plain sight. You have to be the one to have a vibrational vortex, a sort of vibrational vortex, a sort of portal. You have to create the portal in your aura. You have to create the time-space machine. You have to create the earth ship, right, of your aura. Through your ability to use your natural technology of your pituitary gland, the natural technology of your endocrine system, that is all laid out, not for human beings to just kind of sit in the flesh and just kind of keep the just flash of bodies upon bodies, but to actually move the body into movement modalities, movement remedies, movement medicine. that is going to fulfill that fifth dimensional soul agreement one has with the earth, which is to be in integrity with the earth, which is to let the flow of love bring such sacred geometry to the earth, and know what it is to create the mandala of your life, to connect with the mandala of your life, to make the choices, to have the experiences, to create the movement medicine that's going to allow your emotional body to be creatively sound. So this is the message for the lunar eclipse, full moon Sagittarius. Very powerful message, speaking of the emergence of the third dimension, fourth dimension, and fifth dimension that is happening as we're awakening to the heart intelligence, embodying the heart intelligence, getting educated on the heart intelligence, what it means to transmute and transform. And we're also igniting vocabulary terminology that we haven't had on this planet for thousands of years, that's foreign. And we're also learning what it is to create the mandala of our own time-space machine, our aura, our portal. That is basically what a shaman mind is, knowing how to move the energy, knowing how to connect with one's soul agreement, soul contract, soul energy, and knowing how to get the physical, the life force in the sort of teamship, and in the sort of path that is the path of that creative destiny, and how to move on from the fated trauma and the karma and the fated type of not paying attention, the fated kind of being confused and doubt and shame and judgment, and getting kind of locked into that shame and judgment. That is, in many ways, was the main in the dark age, the patriarchal paradigm. It was the main thing that shut down these portals, why people stepped away. They stepped away from themselves, from their aura, from their soul star. They stepped away. They disconnected. They numbed out. And the experiencing of the emotional bankruptcy, experiencing of the mind, but not of experiencing of the heartfelt mind, the soulful mind, the shaman mind, and not knowing how to connect the mind into the sort of contentment of that mind, the contentment that comes through the endocrine system, that kind of glandular system called the chakra system, right? That all kind of bring this vibrational resonance, this vibrational wave of intention, like a wind that spreads the seeds, right, throughout the into the soil, or throughout the area. And in not having that sort of able to vibrate, being locked in, kind of just not vibrating at all, really, we're not able to know reality. We're not in the way of refining it, transurfing it, reinventing it, redesigning it, transforming it, transmuting it, and then just getting reality for what it is through a limited understanding, and then just keeping that reality, never moving on from that reality, never deconstructing that reality, and never getting to experience the reality of where we originate from, where we go to when we die, where we come from. We were born in the womb of the fifth dimension, and then the child becomes an adult, and the adult gets really set in the finite. So in the inner child, the embracing the third energy is the inner child. It's the solar plexus, right? The solar plexus is the child. And in the bracing of such enthusiasm, such sort of fearlessness that is not bound to third dimension, not bound to any really dimension. It's more of multidimensional, like a chameleon. A child is like a chameleon, learning, educating, studying, reinventing, learning, educating, studying, reinventing, looking into experiences with an ability to be emotionally healed by it and to be in an emotional state, to follow one's heart, to find how I can be content, how I can be complete in this life. That's something that has nothing to do with the shame judgment paradigm, has everything to do with one's ability to vibrate into reality and to create a reality that is potentiated further in the challenge, in the difficulty, in the struggle, in the complication, in the commotion, and all of this, that, and the other. There's a sense of a willingness to move forward, to move on, to move the mind stream, the heart stream, resiliently, relentlessly, like a child does, into a vocabulary and a terminology, into a stream of thought, a heart momentum that is brave and bold enough to be in one's life force, to be in one's life force, to be in one's personal power, to have the technology, to use the technology of one's personal power and life force. That's what we call the word victory, which is also a mantra, victory. It's a high priestess mantra, victory, as in the victory, the code of victory gives you the knowledge of your own Sachic record, but the knowledge of your ancestral Sachic record, as well as the Sachic record of the ancient past, of the African goddess frequency. The victory gives you frequencies that you can code into your glandular system that will give you the movement, the medicine, the modality, the heart, understanding, that will begin to birth the soulful philosophy of your life force, which at the end of everything is the soulful philosophy, and how you were able to embody that, how you were able to experience that, how you were able to share that, how you were able to come into that, to move with that, to be the forward thinker in it, to move on from what is the fear, the shame, the judgment, the lockdown, the sort of shut down, the sort of and come into it, to study it, to learn it, to educate yourself on it, to focus on it, to imagine it and meditate it, visualize it, vibrate it into your touch, into the creation, into what it is that you move, you say, you do, as a revolutionary act of your emotional healing, your emotional clearing, your emotional ease, your emotional contentment, that nourishes you, that protects you, and that gives you the relentless forgiveness that initiates you into a greater vocabulary terminology with the word of prosperity, lineage, and sovereignty. So thank you, and Satnam. The fire of your heart is the fire of humanity. The fire of transmutation is the fire of creative passion. The fire of transformation is the fire of relentless forgiveness. Relentless forgiveness giving birth, giving conception, conceiving frequencies belonging to planetary grids, celestial grids, soul grids, portals, sacred sites that belong to a liberated plane of real human life, real life force, real life force.